Hi guys, today we're going to look at multiplying decimals, and I'm going to start by multiplying by just a whole number. So let's do something nice and easy by 3.5 times 6. Now the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to think about it without the decimal in at all. So I'm going to start by looking at 35 times 6. And if I do that using a column multiplication, so 35 times 6. Do 6 5s are 30, I'm going to carry the 3. 6 3s are 18, add that 3 is 21. So 35 times 6 is 200, is 21. Now, I need to know where to put the decimal point back in. Well, if I looked at it and say roughly 3 times 6 equals 18, my answer must be close to 18. So if I put my decimal point in here, I would have 2.1. Is that close to 18? Not really. If I put it in here, 21.0, how close is that to 18? Actually not too bad. If I put it in at the end there, 210 are miles away from 18. So 210 is, sorry, 21.0 is closest to 18. So that must be my answer. So 3.5 times 6 is equal to 21.0. So let's look at a slightly more complicated one. 4.82 times 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by doing 482 times 7. 7 times 2 is 14, carry the 1. 7 times 8 is 56, add 1 is 57, carry the 5. 7 times 4 is 28, add that 5 is 33. So 482 times 7 is 3,374. So if then I look over here and say, right, well, 4 times 7, or maybe it might even be better to do 5 times 7, but this does as well enough. 4 times 7 is 28. Where am I going to put the decimal point? So I'm closest to 28. So 3.374, 33.74, 337.4. I think clearly it makes sense to put it in here. So 333.74 is closest to 28. So that's clearly my answer. So 6.82 times 7 is equal to 33.74. Now this pattern holds when we come to look at multiplying a decimal by a decimal. Here you can see I've used an integer, which is a whole number, times a decimal, and an integer times a decimal. But what about if we were to do a decimal times a decimal? So for example, 2.3 times 1.2, I would say, okay, I'm going to do 23 times 12. 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4, there's 0 on the next line, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 2 is 2, we've got 276. When I look at the roughly, I've got 2 times 1 is 2. So I'm looking for putting my decimal point in as close to 2 as possible. So I think you can see there that 2.3 times 1.2 would be 2.6. 276, because that would be closest to 2. So obviously, put it in there, it would be 27 and 276. So it obviously makes sense to put it in there. Right, final one then. So if I said 364 times 29, sorry, 2.9. Okay, 364 times 29. So 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 6 is 54. Add the 3 is 57. 9 times 3 is 27. Add the 5 is 32. 0 on the next line. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 6 is 12. So I need 1 to carry. 2 times 3 is 6. Add the 1 is 7. Adding these together, I've got 6, 15. So I need to carry the 1, 5, and 10. Now I am looking for the one that's closest to 3 times 2, which is 6. Actually, probably ought to really say, actually this is close to 4, and this is close to 3. Maybe. But I'm looking for an answer somewhere between 6 and 12, and I know that for definite. To this here, we strictly ought to think about rounding to one significant figure, but it's just as easy to say 3 times 2 is 6. I need something about the same size as 6. To me, how close can I get to 6? Well, if I've got 1 point something and then 10 point something, the 10 point something seems to me to be the right one. That's in between 6 and 12, which this was a lower boundary and this would be an upper boundary. So 10.556 I think is correct. So 3.64 times 2.9 would be 10.556. And I just want to check that on my calculator, just so I've not made a complete fool of myself. 3.64 times 2.9 is 10.556. Good. So the idea is forget about the decimals for a start, and get a multiplication that you know is correct by using the methods that I know you're all really strongly with, and then just think, okay, roughly where will I need to put it in? 2 times 1 is 2. Like I said, closest to 2, decimal point goes in at 2.76. And this one, 10,556, but I knew I needed it between 6 and possibly 12 when I really looked at it. So that would, common sense would make it 10.556. So always get rid of the decimal point, do a quick rough calculation in your head, and then bang that decimal point back in. And the rough calculation needs to be as easy as you could possibly make it. So you notice here, I did 3 times 6. I could have done 4 times 6. Here I did 4 times 7. I could have really done 5 times 7, but either way they would have led me directly to the right answer. So all the time think about this rough calculation, and I'll tell you exactly where to put the decimal point back. And I think it makes it an easy way, much easier way of doing it, and common sense, and really makes us think about maths and size of the answer, because size of the answer is something that not a lot of people consider all of the time. Okay.